Welcome to Betrayal Affairs, where we don't just tell stories, we peel back the layers people try to hide. What you're about to hear isn't fiction. It's raw, it's uncomfortable, and it's real. A woman, a marriage on autopilot, and a night that crossed the line, not just between wrong and right, but between who we pretend to be and who we truly are when no one's watching. I came home later than usual that night. My shoulders were stiff, my head throbbing from hours of meetings that felt more like endurance tests. I hadn't eaten anything since coffee that morning, and my body was running on fumes and resignation. Work had been brutal, but the emotional weight I carried had nothing to do with spreadsheets or deadlines. It was the silence that hit me first. No miss you text, no quick check-in call. My husband was out of town, again. I think it was Chicago this time, or maybe Dallas. It didn't matter. He was always somewhere else. Lately, he'd been more of a flight itinerary than a person, and truthfully I'd stopped keeping track. Not out of spite, but out of exhaustion. The house felt sterile. Too clean, too quiet. The kind of silence that wraps around your throat, not your shoulders. I tossed my bag on the counter, kicked off my heels, and went straight for the wine. Not a glass, just the bottle. One glass turned into another, and eventually I stopped pretending moderation was part of the plan. I sat on the couch in my robe, TV buzzing in the background, with some loud cooking competition I wasn't really watching. I stared past it, at nothing, letting the wine blur the edges of everything I didn't want to feel. Loneliness, bitterness, resentment. I didn't even notice the door open behind me. "Hey," a voice said, startling me. I turned sharply, heart racing, and there he was. My stepson. I'd completely forgotten he was staying with us for a while. He'd moved back in after a bad breakup, said he needed time to sort things out. My husband had offered him the spare room like it was nothing. It was the most decisive he'd been in months. "Didn't mean to scare you," he said, setting his backpack down. I pulled my robe tighter, suddenly aware of the mess I was. My hair was a disaster, and the empty bottle on the coffee table said more than I wanted it to. "No, it's fine," I mumbled. I didn't expect company. He smiled, casual, warm. Didn't expect to walk into a wine crime scene. I laughed, too hard. But it felt good. Too good. I hadn't really laughed in weeks. "You're home early." He shrugged. "Plans got cancelled. Figured I'd come back, knock out some work." I gestured toward the couch. "By all means, join the pity party." He hesitated, then sat beside me. Not too close, not too far, but close enough that I noticed. The room felt warmer now, though the thermostat hadn't changed. There was tension in the air, quiet, heavy tension that wasn't hostile, just alert. Like something unspoken had stepped into the room and sat down with us. "You okay?" he asked. I gave a half shrug. "Tired, and lonely. But I guess that's invisible now." He looked at me with something different in his eyes. "I notice," he said softly. I blinked. His voice, low, gentle, wasn't flirtatious. But it wasn't neutral either. It held something, weight, warmth. "You're sweet," I said. "Your dad used to be sweet." Before we stopped noticing each other. The silence stretched. "I'm glad you're here," I whispered, more to myself than to him. "You look different tonight," he said. Quiet. Like he almost didn't want me to hear it. "How so?" "I don't know. Softer, like real." I could have made a joke. Should have, maybe. But the way he said it, it didn't feel like a compliment. It felt like a recognition. "Careful," I said, raising an eyebrow. "Compliments like that might get you in trouble." He held my gaze. "Maybe I don't mind trouble." And neither did I. He handed me a glass of water and I took it, grateful but embarrassed at how unsteady my fingers were. He didn't call attention to it. Just sat beside me again, this time a little closer. Like he wasn't there to fix anything, just to stay. "I didn't mean to unload all that on you," I said, clearing my throat. "Just venting. It's been a day." He shook his head. "Honestly? It's nice. Everyone's always pretending to be fine. You're just telling the truth." I looked sideways at him. "Depressing truth." "No, human truth," he replied. "Most people fake it so much they forget how they actually feel." That stopped me. Because I'd been doing exactly that. For years. I got so good at acting like I was okay, I almost forgot how to admit when I wasn't. You ever feel like you woke up one day in someone else's life? I asked. Like, you don't even recognize yourself anymore? All the time, he said instantly. That's why I left Emily. I turned toward him. I didn't know the details of their breakup, just that it had left him quiet for days. He shrugged. We looked great from the outside, but we'd stopped seeing each other. We were roommates, trapped in a script we didn't believe in. I swallowed hard, because he'd just described my marriage in one sentence. I used to admire you, he said suddenly. Back when I was in high school. You were always so put together. Confident. I laughed bitterly. That was a mask. A damn good one. You don't need one now, he said. There was something dangerous in his tone. Not threatening, just intimate. Like he was peeling back a part of me I'd buried years ago. So when did you get so insightful? I teased, trying to deflect. He smirked. Probably around the time I realized grown-ups don't have it all figured out either. I chuckled, but it got caught in my throat. Our eyes locked. Neither of us looked away. And then, gently, he reached up and tucked a strand of hair behind my ear. His fingertips grazed my skin, and I felt it, like electricity under my skin. You should hear how your dad talks about you, he said. Like your maintenance. Something he has to deal with. The words stung because they weren't a shock. They were a confirmation. Why are you telling me this? I asked, voice tight. Because you deserve to be seen, not tolerated. That broke something in me. The dam didn't burst, but it cracked. I didn't stop him when his finger slid across my hand. I should have. I knew I should have, but I didn't. Come on, I said softly, standing. I should get to bed. At the doorway, I paused. My breath caught. You can come in, I said. Just to talk. He stepped inside. He sat near the edge of the bed while I stood, uncertain of why I hadn't stopped this, why it felt like I didn't want to. My heart pounded in my chest, but it wasn't just nerves. It was need. Need I hadn't let myself feel in years. I sat beside him. Need I hadn't let myself feel in years. I sat beside him. Not close, but not far enough. This is probably a bad idea, I said. Probably, he replied. But neither of us moved. I waited for the guilt to crash down. But instead, I saw someone looking at me like I mattered. Not out of habit. Not out of duty. Just because. I've never wanted something and hated myself for wanting it so much, I whispered. He touched my hand again. Gentle. Warm. Stop thinking, he said. Just feel. That should have been the moment I got up, said goodnight, closed the door. But I stayed. And when he kissed me, soft and hesitant, I kissed him back, harder than I meant to, then stopped, then leaned in again. My robe slipped from my shoulder, but he didn't look away. He didn't look down. He looked down. He looked at me, like I was something sacred. We didn't speak after, not for a long time. There were no promises, no lies. Just the sound of breath and heat and the unraveling of everything I thought I controlled. When it ended, I lay there, staring at the ceiling. You okay? He asked quietly. No, I said. But I don't regret it. He reached for my hand again. I let him take it. I should have felt shame, disgust. But I didn't. I felt alive. Then my phone buzzed. It was my husband. His message short, sweet, deceptively innocent. Landing early. Home tomorrow night. Can't wait to see you. I stared at it, then locked the screen. He saw my face change. He knew. I should go, he said. I didn't stop him, but I wanted to. At the door, he paused. I meant it, he said. I don't regret any of this. And then he was gone. The next morning, the bed was cold. The room felt like a crime scene I couldn't clean. We passed each other in the halls like strangers. No eye contact. No words. I cooked dinner. He didn't come down. I left a plate on the counter and returned to my room. I kept reading my husband's last message, hoping it would hurt more than it did. It didn't. I felt nothing, just a strange hollowness I couldn't explain. When my husband came home, the sound of his keys hit the counter like a gunshot. He kissed me. I smiled. I answered questions. I played the role. Too well. My stepson kept his distance, avoided the room when we were both in it. But when our eyes met, the silence was unbearable. 3 days later, I found a note under my coffee mug, no name, just handwriting I knew. I know what we did can't be undone. I'm not asking you to destroy your life. I just need you to know I meant every word. I see you. I want you. I'd wait if there was a chance. But I can't forget, and I don't want to. I read it twice, folded it, tucked it into my purse. I never responded. But I didn't throw it away either. The next morning he was gone, took his things, left nothing behind. My husband assumed he went to stay with friends. I didn't correct him. Weeks passed, then months, but I still felt it. The way he looked at me like I was worth something. Like I mattered. I never told anyone. I returned to routine, to smiling at dinners, to lying beside a man who never noticed the version of me that was missing. But some nights when the house is quiet, I reach for the letter, just to remember it was real. Even if nothing changed on the outside, inside everything had.